Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's about to go down. How's everyone doing today? That's good. That's good. Hello to everyone. Hello to everyone that has attended today. So look, we're about to get right into it. For for some of y'all, for some of you guys, you may not know, but today is May 19th, and I chose this day for a particular reason, right? And today is the day of Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, better known as Malcolm X's birthday, right? And I chose it for a reason, right? Because a lot of times we become so enthralled in honoring these great people as we should, right? But we tend to make one big mistake. Instead of standing on top of their shoulders, we tend to lean on them, right? If he came and gave us something in 1964 and 1963, it's our job, if we're truly honoring him, right, in 2026 to be doing much better, much greater, right? So we tend to honor people from the past and we tend to lean on them instead of using their foundation and standing on their shoulders and building, right? He left a footprint, like he's going to be eternalized forever, right? What are you doing to eternalize your name? What footprint are you leaving, right? We can talk about the pyramids of Giza, right? But 100 years from now, right, are the people going to say that Gordon and the goddess Iman built their own pyramids? Like, what pyramids did we build? Are the people going to say that Gordon and Dominique created their own magical language, like the hieroglyphics, right? Or we're not going to leave no type of footprints whatsoever, right? My point is, right, we should be honoring these people of the past, but the object is to be greater, right? Because they came and they left us something, they gave us a foundation. It's not for us to be 200, 100 years later still talking about what they did, but we haven't built one pyramid. We haven't wrote no hieroglyphics. What are we doing? What footprints are we leaving on humanity? Another reason why I chose this day, right? Because if you're aware of the story of Malcolm X, right? If you look through the line, you'll see that it's a constant state of evolution. He evolved, right? If you know the story, he was Detroit Red. Then he became Malcolm X. Then he became L. Haj Malik Shabazz, right? Evolution, right? That should be the main thing in all of our minds is to elevate, to elevate, to evolve, right? So when you think of these great people, or when you think of Malcolm X, think about their evolution. Think about how they evolved. Then ask yourself, are you evolving? So before we go any deeper into this topic, right? I have to say this. I talk to myself very bluntly. I'm very honest with myself, right? I hurt my own feelings sometimes, right? Because I'm gonna be truthful with myself. When I look in the mirror, I have to be truthful with myself. So and sometimes truth hurts, right? So if I'm talking to the Divine Mother, right? If I'm talking to the Divine Mother, Monica Bay, and she tells me a truth about myself and my feelings get hurt, it's not her problem. That's a me problem, right? So as I'm talking, right, remember I'm always talking to myself first. But in while I'm talking, right, if your feelings get hurt or you feel offended by something, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem, right? And I say that like with so much respect. Look, I'm gonna ask y'all a question before we even get into this. I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Let me look in the chat. Let me look in the chat. I want to ask y'all an honest question. we was talking about pyramids and whatnot, and right, all these great civilizations like the holy sites of Delphi in Greece, right? Then you got the Great Wall of China. You have all these great historical sites, right? How many of you guys have ever wanted to leave a footprint that great in humanity? Like I want you like I want you to ask honest. I want you to answer that honestly. How many of you guys have ever thought of yourself in that greatness to leave a footprint on humanity like the ancient culture of Egypt? Raise your hands. Let me see. Let me get some fire emojis. If you really ever thought like that, can I see some fire emojis? If you have, it's cool. If you haven't, it's cool. Hmm. I asked a question, right? And I only see like two fire emojis, three, and that's my point. That brings me to my topic. We don't think that for that's good. I like that. We don't think that great about ourselves because we've been hoodwinked, because we've been bamboozled, because we've been lied to, because our greatness has been hidden from us, right? So we don't think in the terms of 200 years from now, I want the world to be saying my name, right? We don't the furthest a lot of our minds may go, right, is I'm gonna retire at 60 and I'm gonna have a 401k and I'm gonna have benefits and maybe I get to travel around the world from time to time, right? We don't think in the greatness of like I'm gonna leave a footprint on humanity, like I'm gonna stamp this, like I'm gonna be eternal. I can never die. I'm gonna be eternal because that's how great I'm gonna be, right? And we only don't think this way because we've been lied to, because we've been tricked, because that part of us has been hidden, right? If I was to if I was to show the ancient culture of Egypt to a little child, maybe 5 or 6 years old, especially a child that's in a happy home, right? And I told the child like, look what they did, look at these pyramids they built, right? The average little child, you know what they're gonna do? Right at that moment, they're gonna show you how they're gonna do the same thing, but they might just add their own little twist to it, right? They might put Mickey Mouse on the pyramid or whatnot. You get what I'm saying, right? Because they're still close to the source. They haven't been brainwashed. They haven't been restricted. So their mind has no limitation, right? But if I showed an adult that same thing, we'd be like, oh, that's dope. They did that. They did this, right? Because we've been restricted, because we've been oppressed, or we've been spiritually oppressed, right? Mentally oppressed. So we can't even think on them terms. But a child right there at that moment, the child gonna go start grabbing his toys. Yeah, I'm gonna have a pyramid better than that. It's gonna be bigger. This this is gonna be a main point in our conversation. Your imagination, your childlike mind, right? So before I go any further, I would like to read this verse from the book of Rasheeda, right? I usually don't read like verbatim off of the paper that I like. I usually just don't read like. But what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna read from the book, right? Because I read it down. I wrote everything down because I want to say it correctly. I want to say this verse correctly, right? And it's from the Divinity Session 80, right? It says, I'm gonna read it one time and then I'm gonna go over it. I'm gonna break it down a little bit, right? It says, seek the heavens within yourself. Come forth and behold the heavens around you. Peek through the curtains to see the true heavens from where you come. You bring this vibration into this world, always present for you to see, hear, and touch. Seek it and allow it to unfold, right? The topic of my discussion tonight is going to be about one line in that whole verse. But I'm going to read it one more time and I'm going to break it down as I read it. Seek the heavens within yourself, right? As the Divine Mother explains in this divinity session, right? Heaven is not a a place outside 1,000 miles away beyond space and galaxy. It's a state of mind, right? It's in you, right? I say this thing where I go, God is your dominant thoughts and your dominant actions. The devil is your dominant thoughts or your dominant actions. So the same thing with heaven and hell, right? Heaven is your dominant thoughts and your dominant actions. Hell is your dominant thoughts and your dominant actions. You bring this upon yourself. Hell or heaven is something that you bring upon yourself, right? Through thoughts and actions, right? It's not nothing spooky way out in space somewhere. Then it goes on to say, you peek through the it says peek through the curtains to see the true heavens from where you come. It's crazy because that section right that section right there, right? Because we're it's Malcolm X's birthday, right? And the most iconic picture they have of him is him standing at the window peeking through the curtains with an M16, right? And he was protecting his heaven. He was protecting his heaven, and you're going to have to protect your heaven. You're going to have to protect your sovereignty. You're going to have to. But I just it was crazy when I was reading that how it just it just what's the word? It just came together. It's like I read that peek through the curtains and I automatically I seen Malcolm X peeping through the curtains, and he was protecting his home. He was protecting his kids. He was protecting his heaven here on earth. But it says peek through the curtains to see the true heavens from where you come. You bring this vibration into the world. Going back to when we was talking about the kids, right? When if I was to show a kid these pictures and these statues and these symbols of ancient Egyptian culture, they're so in tune with the vibration from where they come that they relate to it. They want to do they want to do that. They want to do the same thing. They want to create something better, right? Because they're closer to that vibration. They just came to Earth, right? Then it says, always present for you to see, hear, and touch. Seek it and allow it to unfold. Again, my topic will be based off of that one section of that whole verse about the heavens being inside of you and not nothing outside of you, right? Um, do you guys want to know what hell is? Let's go to opposite spectrum. Do you want to know what hell is? It's not the little red man with the pitchforks and the fire, right? Hell is if you ever meet someone with an unbalanced root chakra, that's hell. Like if you ever see a dope fiend kicking off of drugs, that's hell. The root chakra is red, right? Let, follow me, right? Your root chakra is connected to your your primal needs, your basic safety, uh, fear, sex, and things of this nature, right? When that when your root chakra is out of whack, you're going to be in a state of hell. You're going to be in a state of survival, right? And survival mode is hell for the nervous system. That's why when you if you ever come across someone that's in survival mode and you're not in survival mode, you you can't understand their actions. Then you'll be like, what's wrong with this person? What is going on with him or what's going on with her? Because that person with that unbalanced root chakra is in a state of hell. Their nervous system is in a state of hell, right? You can't relate to the decisions they make because you're not living in that hellfire. Hell is not no place under the earth. Hell, we create hell within ourselves, right? We go through hell within ourselves when we're living in our root chakra and it's unbalanced, right? Again, the root chakra has to deal with fear, safety, comfort, and when you don't have those things, when you don't have safety, when you don't have security, and you're in a state of fear all the time, you're going to experience hell. So, and I had to say that because on the title it says you've been hoodwinked, right? You've been lied to. You've been hoodwinked, right? And who lied to you? the pastors, the priests, whatever religious organizations they have, they lie to you, right? And the greatest weapon they have is fear. And the number one fear, the universal fear, is the fear of death. That's a fear that 90% of the whole population in the world can relate to, is the fear of death. And what do these people tell you about death? Where you're going to go after death? So if you're in a state of fear of, of, of when you, what's going to happen to you when you leave the earth, and someone has uh, planted a seed in your brain about heaven or hell, right? You you don't want to go to hell, right? According to these little religious beliefs, right? So because you fear hell so much, from that point on, you can be controlled and move like a piece of cattle, right? They can control you with fear. Fear is the greatest weapon used upon mankind. It's fear, right? Even terrorism is an act of fear. That when if a bomb blows up, or it's a terror, the bomb is not the bomb is not the issue. The person that runs in the building and blows something up, that's not what people that's not what people are afraid of. What people are afraid of is the potential of it happening to them, right? The fear that this can happen in their backyard, in their home, in their place of work, in their religious organizations. The fear drives people, right? And with fear you can control people. And religion, not only with the fear of death, right? They teach you to fear yourself. They tell you you're born into the world impure, you're born in sin. So now you fear yourself. Now you question yourself. Now you when you have thoughts that they may say are unclean or unpure, now you're questioning yourself. Now you're fearing yourself. Now you're fearing your natural wisdom, your natural sovereignty. You're scared to think for yourself. You're scared to question, because they teach you, because you can't even doubt what's being told to you, because you fear the, if I was to be like, oh, why did this happen in one of these books, right? Most people, like, you can't question God. You can't question God. So now you be in fear of just doubting. Religion is just based around fear. Fear of death, fear yourself, uh, fear of judgment of other people, right? Because now they put all these weird so-called moral laws. So now you gotta act a certain way, or you're gonna be judged by other people, right? And it's his brother. His name is Rod Hayes, and he says it's the most beautifulest thing I ever said. Right? He said, "Me being politically correct in a system that's incorrect is crazy." And I said that to say this: like I don't care about how people feel about me. I don't. You should not care about how people feel about you either. If you're not hurting or harming no one, so what the next person thinks? What are they gonna do? Like, you should never live in a state of fear that much to where you're afraid of what other people think. This and this and that attaches to your family also, right? Because a lot of us right now, we question our spiritual practices, our spiritual beliefs, because of what Big Mama taught us, and what our grandfathers taught us, what our mothers taught us, what our great grandparents taught us, right? So it's a battle. It's a fear. Like my grandmother taught me this. I can't go against what my whole family do. So you live in fear, and you start to question your beliefs, and a lot of times that hold people, that'll hold you back, because you're in fear what your family may think. You your grandmother or your great grandmother or big mama, right? She's passed on. Do you think, we always say the ancestors. Do you think your ancestors is tripping on you because you don't believe in what they believed in? Like, that's so I can't say the word I want to say. But let's get into the religion again, right? I could go. I'm not. I'm not finna get into detail about falsehoods and particular stories in these religious books. I'm not finna do that. It's not enough time for me to dive in and show you uh, this falsehood and this story came from a story that happened 2,000 years before the Bible was written. I don't have enough time to dive into that portion of religion, right? But I will say this, and I want y'all to listen to me what I'm about to say, and I want y'all to prove me wrong after I say it. I want you to go get the little holy comic books, right? I want y'all to go get the little holy comic books. And I want y'all to do a psychological profile of the God in those holy books. He is a psychopath. When you look around the world and see what's going on today, I say something that's so simple and it goes over most people's heads. They be like, "How you feel about the war? How you feel about this?" And I always say, the people just acting like the God they worship. The God in those books is a psychopath. We learned racism. We learned racism from the God in the book because in the book, right, he chose one group of people over another group of people. What is that? In 2026, if I tell you that I love black people and they're special, what are you gonna call me? That's racism, right? Right? So the God knows books, he taught us racism. He taught us sexism. Do you know how the woman is carried in the Bible? The, where was the first time we ever heard of a woman being lesser than a man? Because you can't find it in no ancient societies. You can't find where the woman was lesser than a man in no ancient societies. And a lot of ancient societies they have female deities. A woman being lesser than a man was introduced to us by these religions. God is homophobic. God is a sexist. God is a rapist. God is a warmonger. He's a complete psychopath. So when you look around the world and you see what's going on, all you got to do is say, "Oh, they acting like the God that they worship." It's really that simple. It's like we got to keep it 100. And listen, I'm gonna say it like this: in 2026, if God was here, y'all would cancel him. His TikTok page would get banned. God would get kicked off of TikTok and Instagram. If he was here in 2026, guarantee you, it's real, right? So, what's the purpose of this bamboozlement? What's the purpose of these lies? What's the purpose of hiding these truths, right? Again, it goes back to control, right? If you have kids, you know when your kids fear you, that they obey you. They're obedient, right? Now on a bigger scale, right? When when you fear someone, they can control you, and you can't tap back into your greatness, right? When as long as you don't remember that you're a God, you'll forever be a slave. You'll ever be you will forever be subservient, right? Memory is a sign. Memory is resistance. Remembering that you're a God is resistance, is revolution. Because when you remember that you God, then a lot of this stuff don't make no more. It don't make sense no more. Then you be like, see, I know I'm a God, right? So you would never catch me getting upset about a Democrat or a Republic. I could care less who the president is. Like, what's the difference? The the monkey we got in the office now is no different from the monkey we had in the office 4 years ago. They are monkeys in the same circus. Why would why would I be dependent on them to save me? Right? Why would I every 4 years go participate in their ritual thinking they're gonna save me? You really have to question your intelligence, right? You really have to question your intelligence, right? Listen, no disrespect to no one, right? But if you're running out to vote, I want you to go and look in the mirror and question your intelligence. Just on the historical level, it's never done nothing for nobody, right? That in itself, just let's go back and let's go 20 years, 15. Like I'm 50. I remember Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump don't have nothing on Ronald Reagan, right? So let's go back. Oh, y'all might some of y'all gonna say Obama. He killed the African president. You know, because we so upset that the monkey right now is dropping bombs in the Middle East. We forgot that the person that looked like us killed the African president. Right? It doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim. None of it can save you. Nothing outside of you can save you. Nothing outside of you can save you. I can't save you. You only can save yourself. Religion and this concept of God that we believe in, it's an open war against our soul. It's an open war against your soul. And people only go to war with you, or they only try to subdue you when they fear you. Remember that. People only go to war with you and only try to subdue you when they fear you, right? When they fear your greatness. Them people, whoever them people may be, know more about you than you know about yourself. Why do you think they go so hard to keep everything in shambles, to keep everything topsy turvy, right? Why? Think about it. Ask yourself that. And look at it like this. If you're a God, you're a God. You are a God, right? You're a God. The way you flex your God muscles is that you go inside. You go inside to talk to God. You go inside to find the muscle, to find the answers that you're seeking, right? You go inside to create the miracles or the vibrations or the frequency that you want, right? It's a muscle. But if they have you looking outside, you never use the muscle. The muscle gets weak. The muscle becomes stagnant. The muscle deteriorates, right? Because they didn't trick you into looking outside of yourself. Now the muscle is useless, right? So now you're looking outside of yourself, and what happens when you become weak? You get attacked. And if you're weak, you can't protect yourself. You can't defend yourself. We can't defend ourselves spiritually or mentally when we're going outside looking for a God to save us, when we're going outside looking for a Democrat or a Republican to save us, right? We're weak because we're not using that natural wisdom, the natural godhood that we was born with. We're not using it. We let it go because we kept looking outside. We kept running outside to find something, and was the real tricky part about it, right? When you really think about it, when you're searching for God outside of yourself, all you're really doing is searching for a deeper aspect of yourself, but you're just not looking for it in the right place. Like if you turn that in and look inwardly, you'll find it. That's why a lot of us we go on these. Most people I talk to that go on these that go on this path, right? The first thing they do is they get to studying every different religion. They go study this philosophy, this religion. Look what they're doing. Because they feel something is right. It's in them though, but we're going to look for it outside of ourselves. But what you're looking for is actually here. Like that concept you have of God being out there. That's just that's just you searching for what's deeper inside of you. It's the same like when you get when people that smoke that smoke the trees, right? They say they think better, they feel better, right? They get higher. Think about it, you get higher. So what are you searching for? Are you searching for your higher self? Like at the essence of it, at the root of it, are you searching for your higher self? But then we abuse it and then we become addicted and things of that nature. But when you really think about it, what are you trying to get high? You're really searching for your higher self. But we start abusing it and things of that nature, and it turns into something else, and then it becomes a weapon against you become your own worst weapon, right? Like I was talking about with the root chakra being unbalanced and being hell. An unbalanced root chakra is hell, right? And when you study the most ancient texts that talk about the chakras, they talk about it being like a spinning wheel, but they also talk about it being a weapon, right? A weapon can be used to protect or hurt someone outside of yourself, but you also can destroy yourself with your own weapon. And that's what we do when we're living in that state of survival, in that survival mode. We tend to we tend to destroy ourselves, right? We tend to do things that are morally not correct, or we tend to harm ourselves. That's where like abuse and things of that nature come in, right? Because we're taking the natural weapon, right? See, they know about the chakra systems, right? And this side note for anyone that's not in University, right? The Divine Mother tapped in with how could I say it? So we know about the seven chakras, right? But they're much more than seven chakras, right? The ancient Egyptian called them called them hectools, right? And you have more than seven, and it's crazy, it's beautiful, right? So I'm just gonna throw this plug in before I keep talking about that. Make sure you go to Michigan University and learn about the ancient Egyptians hectool system, right? It's more than just the seven energy signatures that we think about. It's way more than that, right? But getting back to my point, you don't think that these people are aware of these chakras and how to misguide you and twist and turn you. They're more aware of you than you are yourself. They know how to tap in with your fear. Like, I'm gonna say this: it's a few sayings in like in those religious circles. We hear them all the time, right? And we don't even know that that they're hypnotic commands. I'm gonna teach you about one hypnotic command that we hear all the time. Anytime you question God, you know, the religious leaders tell you, they say, you can't question God. God is so vast, he's so big. That is, when someone tells you that, that's a hypnotic command, because what that does is it goes past your logic. It bypasses your logic, right? And it goes straight to your subconscious mind. And we know to program someone, you have to program them subconsciously, right? So sayings like that are, we hear them all the time, and we don't even really pick up on that we're being command, like and we know that hypnosis, you go into a relaxed state, people can program you, right? But that's called a hypnotic command, and it's a lot of those in these religious circles and religious beliefs and these religious sayings, right? They have a lot of these little hypnotic commands, and then if you add that with particular music and a particular emotion that you get, you like all caught up in a whirlwind, right? Whole nother topic, right? So look, in January I did a light garden talk, right? And I was talking about momentum, and then that light gardening talk, I gave everyone a exercise to do to prove to yourself that you're God. I don't know if you did it or not, right? But I gave you an exercise to prove to yourself that you're God, right? So I'm just going to go over it briefly, right? I told everyone to find something that they're dealing with in their life, especially if it's physically, right? Find one thing, and for 40 days, ritualize your life off of finding the solution and fixing that situation. And I guarantee you, in 40 days, that situation will no longer exist, or it will no longer be the same, right? And that's how you prove to yourself that you're God, right? I don't want to go back there, but I'm just reminding you guys, right? Nothing I say I say it matters if we don't use it. Nothing the Divine Mother says, it doesn't matter if I don't use it, right? When Dominique get on here and speak, like, if I don't use it, I just know knowledge, but I'm not living by it. I'm not applying it, right? Knowledge and applied knowledge is two different things, right? Applied knowledge is different. It's a struggle in that, right? you're gonna come you're gonna come face to face with some things that you may not like, right? But that's a part of spiritual growth, right? Facing uncomfortable truths, right? Facing doubts, questioning yourself, right? As as a God, you should question everything, and that's the number one thing that religion teaches you not to do is to question. As a God, you should question everything. Yeah, that's a part of spiritual growth is questioning. Like I say, being met with uncomfortable truths, right? Do you the main the Greeks take credit for, but it doesn't come from the Greeks. But in ancient Egypt, they had a saying called "Know thyself." Right? That's I can teach you about all these meditations and biokinesis and and candle magic and plant magic and everything else, right? But if you don't know yourself, all of that is useless. The most powerful weapon you will have in this world today is to know yourself. And do you know yourself? Do you know what makes you tick? Do you know what makes you smile? Do you know what makes you angry? Do you know why that makes you angry? Do you know why you in fear of that? Do you know where that fear come from? Do you know yourself? Like really ask yourself, do you know your strengths? Do you know how to tap into your strengths and use your strengths to the best ability to your best ability? Do you know your weaknesses? Do you know how to transmute that weakness into power, right? Do you know yourself? That's the most important thing you can do today is to start to know yourself. Don't worry about no candles. Don't worry about no herbs. Don't worry about no mushrooms. Don't worry about no tarot cards. Seek to know yourself because that's what's being hidden. That's what's being hidden from us. That's what they're hiding from us. That's why they hoodwinked us because they didn't want us to know ourselves, right? Like you be like, oh, bro, how do I know myself, right? It's gonna be a lot of solitude, right? I don't mean you got to become a hermit, right? But I'm gonna give you one example, and I'm gonna use this example, and I'm gonna tell all y'all before I even go into this. My brother, the astrology god, right? Dom 369. He's on here, right? But look, we all had this thing. Be like, I'm a Libra, I'm a Scorpio, I'm a Sagittarius. And when you really know it's astrology, you know you're not a Libra, you're not a Scorpio, you're not a Capricorn. That's one aspect of you. That's the aspect of you that you was born in that particular sun, right? I'm a Libra, right? That's the aspect of me, right? But in my so to briefly, just talk about this briefly, because so I can break down to you about how important it is to know yourself. So that the astrology chart is it looks like a pie, and then it's cut up into 12 slices, right? So and they're called houses. Each house has on your astrology chart. Each house will have a particular sign on it, right? So you may be a Capricorn, right? You may be a Capricorn, right? But in your house of hobbies and fun and casual sex, you may have a Scorpio and Pluto in it, right? So, and that particular energy in that particular field, your Capricorn doesn't benefit you, right? So we know Capricorns are like stern, strict, balanced, discipline, right? But if you got Scorpio and Pluto on your fifth house, you know you might turn into something different at night, right? When the lights turn off, right? Look, if you gotta know what I'm saying. But look, so let me use another example, right? I was being funny. Sometimes I think I'm a comedian, right? But let me use another example. So say you're a Capricorn, right? And your second house has to do with money, the way your finances come, right? So, and that house may be ruled by Jupiter, right? So that tells you that your Capricorn your Capricorn energy doesn't benefit you more than than that Sagittarius energy does when you're dealing with money. Or you may in your seventh house when you're talking about relationships, you might have Leo on that house, right? So that tells you in intimate relationships that you flow freely when you have that fire, that Leo energy going on, right? So you're never just a Libra. You're never just a Sagittarius. You're never just a Virgo. But this is all about a part of knowing yourself, how you tick. Uh, uh, how do I how what energy do I work the best in when I'm out in public? What energy do I work the best in when I'm with my family? What energy do I work the best in when I'm in an intimate relationship? Do you notice? Do you notice about yourself? These are all this is all about knowing yourself, right? And that's the number one thing religion teaches you is not to know yourself. They want you to know some spooky comic book character that's gonna fall out the sky, right? Like sometimes I really question the intelligence of adults that believe in things like it was an Adam and an Eve, and they had two sons, and one of the sons killed the other son, and then all of a sudden a million people came. I be like really questioning adults sometimes, but that, that's something. Yeah, that's something totally different, right? So look, we gonna go here now, right? Because I don't want to keep talking. I can talk, right? So it's levels to being a god. It's different levels, right? A lot of us in here, we're probably over 30, right? So we remember Super Mario. And it was levels. Like you beat one level and you get to another level, right? And in your path, you're going to go through different levels, and of course, different levels you're going to come face to face with different monsters, right? You're going to come face to face with different parts of your shadow side that you didn't know you had, right? But my point in the matter is that how I how I break the God concept down to where it's easy to understand is God body, God mind, God soul. You have your physical vessel, right? That's God body, your physical vessel. No, that doesn't mean you go in the gym and you do 1,000 burpees and 100 push-ups. I'm not talking about that, right? But this is your physical vessel, right? Your soul, your engine to your soul is placed in this physical vessel, right? So if you're not taking care of your vessel correctly, then you will never get a chance to express your soul to the fullest, right? Because if you're living in a weak and an unhealthy vessel, right, you're going to spend too much time trying to correct those situations, and you'll never get the time to properly express your true soul's purpose, right? And again, I'm not telling you you have to go work out. I'm not telling you you got to go sit in the sauna for 5 days a week. I'm not telling you you got to do yoga 4 days a week. What I am telling you though, right, is that you can't have a God body if you're just putting anything in your mouth, right? You can't have a God body if you're not active, right? I'm gonna give you a perfect example. So I was doing the research on what they call the blue zones. So blue zones are particular areas around the world where people live 85 to 100 years old with with and they live like at they live to this age like very healthy. It's not too much chronic disease right now, right? So, and it was like 10 different places I was researching, right? That these blue zones. So it was a few things that they all had in common, and the number one thing that all of these different places in these particular parts of the world had in common was movement. The they say natural movement. That means walking, gardening, carrying things, natural movement. None of these places, some of these places don't even have gyms. So, natural movement. So, again, I'm not telling you to go run a mile every day. I'm telling you to be active, keep your engine going, to move, lift, pick up things, gardening. They was talking about standing. One thing in that, right, and I can I could like verify that, right? Because I've traveled a lot, right? And one thing I notice when I go outside the country is that in other countries, they elderly move way better than our elderly. As a matter of fact, in other countries, they elderly move way better than some of us middle-aged people. They're walking, they're walking to the store, they're carrying, they're walking up hills, like they're out and about, right? Our elderly, like it's it's crazy, right? But when you go in other countries, you see older women, you see older men moving out and about, like walking 4 or 5 blocks. Just like this is an everyday thing because in a lot of other countries they're more social, right? So they meet up at a particular place. They all the old ladies go shop here, but they're walking and they're carrying bags, and their kids and sons may have cars, and they don't even want to use the car. When you come here in America, about after 50, we got back problems and sciatica problems and knee issues. It's crazy, right? It's crazy, and they walking in flip flops. We got these shoes with 10-inch heels with cushion and everything. We still got knee issues and sciatica problems. It's crazy, and that comes from our diet, and that comes from our lack of movement. So all I'm saying is move, get out, walk. Now, if you want to work out, you want to do yoga and all that. Yeah, all that's beautiful, right? But don't look at it like I'm saying, oh, you got to go to the gym. The gym, that's my thing. That's not for everybody. Just like cycling, that's not for everybody. Swimming is not for everybody. The gym is my thing, right? But I'm just telling you, you have to move. You have a God vessel, so you have to treat your vessel like it's God. We walk in the church or a mosque or a cathedral. We be all like proper about how we walking. We not touching certain things. We like very respectable, but we don't even respect our bodies like that. We don't even respect our bodies like that, right? And I'm not telling you to be a vegan because one thing when I was looking into these cultures and these blue songs, understand this, not near one of those cultures were vegan, right? But they all had they're in different parts of the world, so they're going to be different vegetables, right? They're going to be different fruits, right? But they have vegetable high in their diet, fruits high in their diet, nuts high in their diet, olive oil was high in their diet. What else? It was nuts, fruits, vegetables, olive oils, nuts, and beans, right? And moderate meat. And none of these cultures do they eat to get full. They eat moderately. They like after it was movement. It was movement, but their diet when you put all 10 cultures together and they do the math and they like what things that they have in common, the diet was like fourth on the list. Number one was movement though, but the diet was very important. So no matter what part, if these people were somewhere in the mountains in Japan and these other particular people were somewhere in the mountains in India, they still had those common things and they had those things in common, their diet. And none of them was vegan, but that moderate meat intake, very low sugar intake. Like you could see the similarities, and they're in different parts of the world, but the similarities was right there. And these people tend to live longer and more healthy lives, right? So then you have God mind, right? What's a God mind? Hmm. How can I explain a God mind? First, because of the conditioning we were in, we have to learn how to rewire our mind. That's the first thing we have to do. We have to learn how to rewire our thinking, right? And and this one you have to go back into that like that childlike flow. Like me right now, if I'm gonna tell y'all something right now, if y'all ever see something going on with me and something bad happened to me or whatever, right? Don't feel sorry for me because know that I did something wrong or that I wasn't in alignment or that I didn't have my protection. Nobody can do nothing to me. My thinking is so, like, I don't even, like, I can't even talk to most people. My thinking is so way out there. Like, no one can do nothing to me. I know that for a fact. Anything creepy or bad happened to me, I brought it upon myself. No one else did it, right? But that's the rewiring in my brain, right? And it's peace in that, and it's so much peace in thinking that way and knowing that for a fact, right? There's so much peace in it because no matter what's going on, soon as something happened to me, I don't never be like, damn, they just did that to me. I'll be like, how did you let that happen? It's not them, it's me. I was out of line. I was out of alignment. I was out of whack. I wasn't paying attention. I let things come into my space that I shouldn't have let come into my space. So that's what happened, right? But this comes with rewiring my mind, right? Uh, God mind also has to do with regulating your emotions, right? Just because you're emotional doesn't mean that you have to respond, and understanding why certain emotions play such a big part in your life, like really going back, and we'll go into that in a few more minutes when we talk about shadow work. But like, a lot of our emotions come from, a lot of our extreme emotions that are harmful to us come from a particular point in our life, right? So like I said, I usually don't like writing things down and reading off of the paper, but when we're talking about God mind, there's a few things that I did, a few questions I wanted to ask you. I want you guys to ask yourself, and I did not want to forget to ask you, to tell you guys these questions, right? So, and this is for you, right? You can rewatch this later, but these are questions that you need to answer to tap into your God mind. Question one: what triggers you? Do you know what triggers you and why? Right? You need, like, sit down with yourself and ask yourself these questions. What triggered me? Why does that trigger me? When did it start triggering me? Right? Question two: what are you hiding from? Question number three: what patterns keep repeating themselves in your life? Question number four: what pain controls your decisions? A lot of time, I'm gonna get into that real quick. A lot of time, pain, yeah, a lot of times pain controls the decisions that you make. That's why you hear so many people on the internet, like, man, the man versus women, everybody in pain, and and the more they hate men or the more they hate women, the more they make, like, silly decisions, right? And go deal with the same people that they hate, right? But that's a whole other conversation, right? But, and where do you seek validation from? Who do you seek, and where do you seek validation from? These are questions that you need to ask yourself, right? And you need to understand, right? I talked about in my first Light Guardian talk about the importance of silence, and just paying attention to your thoughts, not trying to really understand them, but just sit in complete silence and darkness and paying attention to your thoughts, right? And the essence of your thought. You might have a thought about something, but when you pay attention to the essence, it may be attached to fear. You might have a thought about something that's going on at work, but when you pay attention to the essence of the thought, it might be attached to guilt, right? Sitting in silence is so beneficial for your mind, right? Even on a physical level, because we never give our chance, or our nervous system a chance to calm down. And sitting in darkness and silence is a way for you to kind of like shut your nervous system down, because we on the go. We wake up fragmented on the go all day long. Cell phones, this, that, and the third. We gone, right? But solitude and silence is very important. Even in, I'm gonna give you a little. Now, I don't even want to call it a ritual, but I'm gonna give you something you can do, right, to help with what, calming your brain down and shutting your nervous system down. 1 hour a day, no electronics, no cell phones, and it'd be best if you could do it either early in the morning or even better later at night, 1 hour a day, right? Another one day a week, no electronics, no cell phones, no unnecessary, what's the word I'm looking for? No unnecessary conversations, right? One day a week. And just see how you feel. Just see how you feel. Go a whole day without your cell phone. When I turn my cell phone off, I be at the most. I, I promise you. I be like, I need a beeper. I be like, I need my beeper back. Let's bring 1992 back. When I turn my cell phone off, right? But these are things for you to take control back over your nervous system. 1 hour a day, one day a week. Just no social media, no technology. One day a week, do it and see how it helps you, right? And when we're talking about the mind, yeah, we need to bring beefers back. And when we're talking about the mind, let's talk about something. Let me see that. Let me see the chat. Let me see the chat. Well, let me see how much. Okay, look, when we're talking about the mind, stop negotiating with the weaker side of you. Stop negotiating with the devil. Stop negotiating with your unbalanced root chakra. Like a lot of times we ask for clarity, right? We ask for clarity and we get the clarity, and then we go negotiate with our root chakra that's unbalanced, and then we do things that we regret. Like a lot of women, right? I mean, you and I done done it myself too, right? I'm just going because it's more women in the chat, right? So some of you guys may have met a young man or a man, right? And you wanted clarity in the situation, right? You went and burnt your candles, you went and flipped your little tarot cards, you did all that, right? And you got clarity. And when you flip your when you flip your tarot cards, you burnt your candles and you did your little meditations, and it wasn't even red flags, it was bright red lights. It said he is going to do some whole shit, excuse my language, but that's the clarity that you got. And you seen the signs and you still went and dealt with dude. And then you wonder why you got hurt. When you asked for clarity, it told you this is what he finna do. This is exactly what he's finna do. He's married, but and you negotiating with your unbalanced root chakra. Oh, he's only cheating on his wife because she doesn't treat him right. Oh, he hit his last girlfriend. Oh, he only cheated on it. He only hit his last girlfriend because she was disrespecting him. I would never disrespect him. He would never hit me. This is you negotiating with an unbalanced root chakra. Stop asking for clarity and not being strong enough to accept it. My brother laughing. But yeah, we have to the discipline. We have to have mental discipline. You really have to have mental discipline because when you listen to yourself, you'll find that you'll get the answer that you're seeking for. You'll get the answers. It's just, are you want to follow through with it? Do you want to do the work that it takes, right? And because we've been taught to be mentally weak, it's easier for us to take the easy way out, right? We've been taught, like even in school, like they teach us to remember. They don't really teach us to think, right? So, and then we're not taught how to deal with things mentally, how to work through a process step by step, and how to when you face with something like because I use the ladies right, but I've been in that situation before. What day they say on Fridays, players mess up too, right? I've been in that situation before too, right? I asked for clarity, and the clarity said, "Yes, she gonna do that." And what I did, I negotiated with my unbalanced root chakra, and I got hell on earth. This how it goes, right? So let's go to God's soul, right? So and you will see how a lot of these they're the bridge. God body is attached to God mind. It's attached, and then God mind, the bridge is over to God's soul, right? But even when you like, chronic stress raises your cortisol level. I talk about this in my first light guardian talk. But and when your cortisol level gets raised, this is angry, anxiety, lack of sleep, all these things happen, right? And it affects your body physically, right? Just so the chronic stress starts to affect you physically. It's easier for you to get sick and all things of that nature. And when I was looking, and this is crazy, when I was looking into those blue zones, that was like number 5 on the list, that their chronic stress level was low. It's not that they don't have no stress, but their chronic stress is very low. That was like the number 5 thing that all of these blue zones people all shared in common, that their chronic stress was very low, right? And again, these people live to 85 to 100, healthy, like they live a healthy life to 100 years old, right? Their stress level is very low, right? So getting back to the bridge, it all connects your body, your mind, right? If your mind is not working right, you can't even think about God's soul. You can't even think about your purpose. What's your purpose? Like, do you know your purpose? It's not for you to answer me yes or no, but do you know your purpose? Do you know the reason why you're here? Do you do you understand yourself? Do you understand where your power lies? Do you understand how to utilize your power? That's like the God soul. Like, what's your purpose? And the crazy thing, we talk about this blue zone again. Another thing they all had in common, they all had a sense of purpose. Like, you can go do the research yourself, right? I'm a nerd, so I research, I read, I nerd out on things like this, right? But go do the research. They all had a sense of purpose. What's your sense of purpose? Your sense of purpose should not be to work till you're 60 years old and get retirement and health benefits. That's not a purpose. That's not a purpose. What's your sense of purpose, right? What were you put here for? Were you put here to put the footprint, lay your foundation down on the earth like the Egyptians did? What pyramids are you going to build? What ancient temples are you going to build that they're going to talk about 300 years from now? What's your purpose? You have a purpose, but you can't find your purpose looking outside of yourself. You're not going to find your purpose in Donald Trump or Barack Obama. You're not going to find your purpose. You're not going to find your purpose in none of the characters in none of them books. You're not going to find your purpose. Only you know your purpose. I'm going to leave y'all with that. Uh, Thank everybody for coming out. Uh, I hope I helped. I hope I gave you some clarity on things. I hope I made you think. My thing was to make you think, right? It's this thing Dick Gregory talks about, the magical glasses. He says once the universe give you magical glasses, there are 3 rules. One, you can never take them off. Two, you will never see things how you want to see them, but you will see them for what they really are. And three, you can't never force nobody else to wear them and see what you're seeing, right? So I was just trying to present you the magical glasses. It's up to you to put them on, right? Uh, Please, if you're not in our Telegram chat, we're on YouTube and Instagram, right? I'm censored, right? And if you know me in real life, I'm not censored, right? Right. So, but in our Telegram chat, you can come ask questions. You have a community, And before I go, I'm gonna tell you, when I was looking up those people in those blue zones, that was something else that they all had in common. They had strong social standings, right? Uh, and that's something that we gotta, I was one of them. I'm one of them people. I don't like being around a lot of people, but now I'm starting to realize is that I don't. It's not that I don't like people. I don't. I just don't like people that's not on the same time as me. I don't like people that's not vibrating in the same frequency that I'm in, right? So it's not that I'm not a people's person. I just like a particular type of people, right? So again though, but that was a in these blue zones, these people that lived in these blue zones, they all had a social network, right? So our Telegram chat is that's our social network. You can come ask questions. You can talk to some of the other light guardians. We have some spiritual. We have some spiritual coaches in the Telegram, right? But you can come. You can come be a community, right? Because a lot of us may be the only people in our family that think how we think. We may be the only people like me. I live somewhere where I'm not from, right? Mentally, I'm on something different, right? So physically I don't deal with too many people on an intimate level, right? But I can it's people in my Telegram chat that I can have intimate relationships with, right? Mentally, spiritually intimate relationships, and they understand what I'm going through. I understand what they're going through, right? So that's a community, right? So join the Telegram, watch the divinity sessions every Sunday, watch the every day at 12 o'clock. The Divine Mother comes on. uh, Join Mr. University. That's where you get all the tools. I could have talked about all the different things you could do and you shouldn't do. Go to Mr. University. Whatever you into, you're gonna find it. I like meditation, yoga, plant magic, biokinesis, crystal magic, candle magic, chakras, divine sexuality. It's all at Mr. University. Go check it out. Again, thank everyone for coming out.